Alright, boys, welcome to day 13. Today is about the number one thing which took me from every single hardship I've had throughout my journey with my dropshipping stories to reach some like the solution basically. So every single time I had a problem, this is the number one thing which made me get whether it's more views, more sales, whatever, literally whatever it is, which is accountability. And it's more than accountability, but this is like the main term which we want to highlight for the day. So, day 13. So, what do I mean by accountability? I mean, whenever you're doing something and it's not working, you need to ask yourself, what am I doing wrong right now? Which can be changed, so I have control over, which could increase my whether it's income or views or whatever. And oftentimes you're gonna see a number of things which you could do. So, for example, I'm gonna give you like recent things which I've done which exponentially increased my CVR, everything. So every single time I've learned that whether my CVR is low, okay, and I'm blaming external factors. Let's say this primarily happened like a year and a half ago, so or even a year ago. Uh, I was going extremely viral, but a big chunk of the views were coming from poor countries which cannot convert. So I was blaming that over my low CVR. But instead, I figured out later on that the way I create the content, the way I, present my product on my website. So you know, the website is one of them. The content is another factor, and primarily these two, they will contribute heavily to your CVR, regardless of what sort of account you have. So even if you have an account which is not primed properly, which is not set up in a way to target EU or US countries, like I've shown you in my previous days of my bootcamp, even in that case, you could still get or reach the right audiences by creating better content, which is curated in a way, which is created in a way to attract the right sort of audience. Um, and then the other one is obviously the website. So let's say you have 1,000 people coming into your store every day, zero sales. Although, let's say 70% of them were low CVR, poor quality leads, then still the rest of the 30%, which is 300 people, they should be able to convert. So that's where the website needs to be changed. So that's what I mean by accountability. You need to convert. You need to backtrack everything and stop blaming things on external factors which you cannot control. Instead, just blame yourself for everything that happens. And this way, when you're brutally honest with yourself, oftentimes you start taking action, which is change. You do changes, and that leads to more sales. So this is primarily what we're talking about today, and the way I'm gonna like give you the most value here today is by sharing my experiences, because honestly that's the biggest factor which made me a lot of money recently. So the first one is, I'm literally just jumping right into it. The biggest secret is the offer. I have underestimated the offer for the longest time until I've done this over the past 6 months. And the offer is what took me from, let's say, $500 days to 1K plus days. Literally, all because of the offer. So you need to take this very seriously. And if you're wondering what sort of offers should you go for, I personally use Sell Easy, and then the second one is Kaching Bundle. These two are my top. There is other ones, but these are my top, and I highly recommend that you use them. So why is the offer the best? Because like the most important change. So this table, which I'm gonna make here, is for the number of things which you can change today, to increase everything. Increase CVR, views. It's not limited to the website, by the way. I'm talking about everything. So everything that I was accountable about and changed, which made me in return a lot of money. One of them is the offer. Let me explain though. What's the reason behind the offer? So obviously they still had, like, prior to me changing the offer, they were able to still add to cart and all of that. However, I'm now self-analyzing why this worked the most. I think it's because I skipped the cart, and crazy enough, I was actually paying like a good amount for the cart. So I put 90% of my energy to improve the cart to look really good. A lot of offers, you get this bar which you fill, and then you have a. I'm trying to draw for you the cart here. So at the top you have like 1 minute left. 1 minute left. And then under it you have, the free shipping. Okay. And then here's the items, 1, 2, and then you have the checkout, and then the payment. This was the cart, but no matter how good your cart is going to look like, what I've noticed is when you skip the cart, and you have to remember, the primary problem was not the fact that I had a cart in between people clicking add to cart and checkout. The other big problem I had was that I didn't use apps which would make my offer look very appealing, or upselling. So I've had a lot of free bundles with the sell easy, so it's gonna give you like a bunch of add-ons which you can add, which is very nice. Okay, people buy because of the free add-ons. However, I didn't have a bunch of a bunch of upscaling, okay, upselling. So buy 2 get 1, buy 3 or buy 4 you get 10% off, 20%, whatever. That sort of offer I was not prioritizing. Instead I was focusing on them because I'm selling a high ticket product. So I was mainly going for the free gifts for them to purchase. However, to my surprise, although it's a high ticket product, people are actually buying 2 or 4 pieces when you present the bundle for them. And that is a game changer. So instead of putting 90% of my energy into the cart, I removed that completely. Instead, I put 100% of my effort to the bundle, okay? And then it's gonna take me directly to the checkout. So that was one of the biggest changes I've done to my store. Second thing, really important, is AI. Not many people do this, talk about this, especially in the organic space. I've most commonly heard about this in the paid ads or TikTok shop. That's where people create these creatives with AI and use them to, whether it's for their Facebook ads or for their TikTok shop organic content. But for us, organic dropshippers, how can we use AI? I can tell you for a fact, if you are up to date with AI right now, you could create hooks from scratch. You could create hooks from scratch, which are gonna make you go viral using AI. And I have a few examples. I'm gonna be showing it on a separate day because today is mostly about accountability, but you can trust my word. There are already proven concepts. I've literally seen a page go viral with AI hook. All they do is they feed the AI with previous content. So they would show a piece of content. They would say, change this man or woman to another person, and then let them do the same thing, basically. That's what they've done, and it went viral. Apart from the hooks, you could exaggerate the effects. So exaggerate the effects. What do I mean by this? This was, like, I think the first thing we've seen with AI in terms of content creation is that Let's say you are lighting up a candle, you could make it seem like you're lighting up the whole thing instead of just the tip of it. So you could do this, but from my experience, it really depends what product you're running. So if it makes sense, go for it. Otherwise, you don't. Okay. So it's not mandatory, but if it's relevant, go for it. Thirdly is the website. And this is the surprising part. I would expect everyone to have AI content on their website by now, but to my surprise, every single person I've tried to benchmark did not have AI. And by what do I mean by AI? It's not like stock pictures. So stock pictures are the maybe they've made it with AI, but it wouldn't surprise me. I wouldn't put it under this criteria. I'll tell you why. Because I've seen what you can create with AI. The standard of quality and precision of how you want to create things with AI. I'm gonna have to do a separate day for AI, by the way. Took me time to learn this, but the biggest value I'm getting right now from AI is my website and my marketing. How? By creating images which I could put on my website, for example. And these images, they are so outstanding to the point where if I were to do them in real life, I'd have to pay so much. So whenever I check my competitors, the first thing I look for is, are they creating good AI content? Most of the time, literally 99% of the time, they're not. They're usually going for the stock pictures, supplier pictures, or even some basic ChatGPT pictures. Okay? I'm talking about advanced AI here. So if you can figure out how to create insanely good content and put it on your website, you're gonna stand out. So these two alone have literally made me go to $1,000 days, and like without them, I would have never done that. So that's for the first 2 points. Let's see, what is the third change? Now let's try to like zoom out from dropshipping. Let's talk about like personal life or mindset. What changes have I had to do over the past year which made me indirectly more sales? I think it has to be staying up. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if you have the flexibility to stay up longer, okay? Because if you are marketing to the US, then the prime time for posting is at night, and the buy time is very brutal compared to US, so I would have to stay up to like 3 to 4 a.m. if I want to be like the best version of myself in terms of like optimizing my posting times, my replying to DMs, offering people, and all this sort of stuff. Then I would have to stay up till 4 a.m. This is one thing which is still ongoing. So currently I sleep between sometimes 1 to 2, sometimes 12. This is a battle I'm facing every day. Trust me, you need, like, this is a brutal truth about dropshipping. You might need to sacrifice some things to make it work, and one of them is health. So you don't need to necessarily sacrifice health if you can readjust your life around dropshipping. So if I were to sleep at 4 a.m., then I would have to wake up at like 12, for example, p.m. And then this also means I would have to drink like 4 cups of coffee, 4 to 5. Usually I do like 2 or 3. So that's what I mean by sacrifice health. Some people might call it not that bad, like it's not that bad. Personally, I haven't seen any bad effects so far from 3 cups. Might have to double down, but this is very transparent of me to say, honestly. This is like one thing which I'm currently trying to improve. So the first 2, I'm proud to say I've achieved, but the third one is something which I'm battling every single day, because I've noticed that if I tend to sleep before 1, okay, my CVR, by the time I wake up, or let's say the total number of sales is going to be lower. This could mean 2 things. It could mean that I need to post earlier, or it means that I just actually it just means one thing. I need to post earlier. But I'd rather stay up till 4, get 2 posts ahead. So if I were to sleep, let's say at 12, and then I've posted 2 times prior to 12, then let's say that would get me 5 sales. However, if I sleep at 4, and then I get four pieces of content posted before I sleep, that's gonna get me 10 sales. Okay. There's many reasons behind that. One is the timings. So prime time for posting whatever social media thing you're doing, whether it's dropshipping, whether it's YouTube, whatever it is, nighttime is the best time to post, period. So this is a very important concept, hence why I'm mentioning this. And no one's perfect. That's why I'm telling you, this is something which I'm constantly trying to improve, which is squeeze in as many posts as possible before bedtime, and preferably extend your bedtime, because that's where you make the most money, at night. Okay, moving off to the last point. Let's talk about content. What change would you have to do right now to improve your sales? I mean, I don't want you to take this as a one-of-one, like a step-by-step guide. This is not a guide. I'm just sharing what I had changed previously in the past like year, which has drastically improved my CVR and my sales and everything. But I want you to relate this to yourself. So the bigger picture here is that, let's say you are posting content every day, you're not going viral. Instead of thinking that you're shadow banned, you need to think, is it my content? Could it be that my content is actually bad? You sometimes need to take the harsh truth. Once you do that, that's where you start improving. Only when you humble yourself and admit that you're doing something which could be done better. For that reason, this is obviously gonna change from person to person. One of the things is obviously content. So whenever I have low views, I instantly change things, whether it's the angle, whether it's the lighting, whether it's the text, the music, whatever. And the best part is, when you have competitors, then you are comparing your content to theirs. That's where you can have a clear picture of why you're not getting views. So try to have benchmark. So once you have benchmarks, which are basically accounts which you can having accounts which you could compare yourself to, that's when you can create the standard of quality which you have to exceed before you can expect to go viral. So yeah, whatever it is, whether it is you not getting sales whenever you wake up, trust me, by the way, this person speaking, I think if you want to hit 1k days, you need to be making sales while you sleep. Oftentimes, the best time to get sales is when you're sleeping. This is like my time. Okay, so for someone who lives in Dubai, that's how it is for me. I don't know where you're from, but even in EU, you're like 2 hours behind me, so I think it applies to you. So if you're living somewhere where it's CET timing, then it would apply to you too. So you need to ensure that you are getting in quality content. If you're wondering why do I post 2 times a day, I prioritize quality right now. In fact, I could be reposting my viral content, but I actually stopped because I've noticed that my viral content just keeps on getting views. So I don't really need to repost. I'm just constantly improving my content. So the reposting strategy I have avoided, although it made me a bunch of money back in March and even April. I've noticed that it made me more lazy, so I didn't want to create as much content. For that reason, I'm trying to stick to original content, original edits, and I can split test. So the same content, I could reuse it multiple times. Let's say I had a viral piece of content. So I have a video at 10 mil. I could take that same video, go to CapCut, duplicate it, and then change maybe the final part or the hook or the music or the text. That's what we call split test. And that's the lazy part of doing split testing, because you could split test by recreating the viral video from scratch. But I'm showing you what I would rather do if I want to take the lazy route. Then I'll do this over reposting. Okay, hope that was clear. So back to what I was talking about, which is the timing. If you ensure you post quality content and enough pieces of content before you sleep, and I'm talking about every platform, so if you have two phones like me, which I highly recommend, okay, it's one of the best investments. The ROI is really high. You would have to post on five platforms every single time you post. You'd have to repeat it on the other four. So TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Snapchat. I have like 10k plus on Snapchat, and I can post stories, which is a superpower. So highly recommend you do that too. And yeah, that's why, think about it. If you post 5 times every time you post, so once on every platform, and then you do it twice a day, that's on one phone, multiplied by 2. For 2 phones, that's 20 times in total. So you're getting 20 lottery tickets per day on every platform. And then you sleep, and then you wake up to see what number it pulled in terms of sales. So obviously you can get sales during the day, but personally speaking, if you want to hit big days, 1k, 10k, whatever, I think what's gonna push your day, it's all about momentum. What's gonna push your day is the night. So when you're sleeping, that's the passive time, which is gonna set you up for the day. So prioritize this. And yeah, that's pretty much it for accountability. Like, I tried to link it to dropshipping, but I really didn't have to. Like, I really want to talk about mindset too. You need to treat everything in life the way that I'm talking here is that it's your fault. So whether you have no sales but a lot of people visiting, then instead of blaming the quality of the leads or the quality of the leads, or maybe the price of the product, or maybe the product. Sometimes you might blame the product. You'd be like, oh, maybe the product's bad. But in reality, maybe it's the offer, okay? Or maybe it's the website. There's many things which plays an important role to why you didn't convert. So you need to analyze your your backend, preferably use some tools which could help you analyze the behavior or whatever, or how many added to carts, how many checkouts. And that data, you can use it to come into conclusions. So always take accountability. One thing as well, this is like a side trick. Oftentimes when things go well for me, naturally I kind of want to double down on it. So let's say you are converting really high today, and for that reason you start doubling down on your website. 9 out of, okay, I don't want to exaggerate with this, maybe 6 out of 10 times, it might actually lower your CVR if you change what was working. So I'll explain this. One time I was doing really well, one of my 1k days. So I decided to double down on AI and change pretty much or add like images to every product. And I basically worked for like 3 to 4 hours that day to create a bunch of AI content which I could use to provide more images for my products. Surprisingly, that lowered my CVR. Now looking back at it, I was using ChatGPT for the content and Sora, and that sort of content compared to what I use now is really bad. So looking back at it, although I spent a lot of time and effort to double down on something that was working, which is my website, it lowered my CVR because I made it look more, I would say now looking back at it, it just looked like unnecessary. It's like I'm putting in too much work, which looks AI, and it's not working. So I highly recommend you invest into the best AI tools, which are gonna make you more money. And what else? So you might ask, like, when should I change them? You change when things are not working. So if you have, once again, 1K, 2K visits, no sales, that's where you increase content, or you change content on your website, you change the offer, and so on. Yeah, I want you to, starting from today, whatever it is, whether it's your content not going viral, stop blaming external factors. If you get somewhere above 12 views, you're not shadow banned, okay? If you get 100 views, you're not shadow banned. So you need to start taking accountability. And I've been to a lot of communities for the dropshipping space, and just being part of the communities, I see a lot of questions about shadow bans. Like everyone just thinks they're shadow banned for not getting like 1,000 views, but it's just because of your content. So focus on the content, the back end, constantly be improving every single day, and double check everything. Like have someone else look at your content or look at your website, because once again, I had to now look back at what I was doing 1 year ago. Turns out the AI was not as good as now. The offer was nowhere near as good as now. Same for the content. So everything improved, and that's a good sign. So yeah, that's it for today. I hope you guys take the bigger picture here. I tried to link it as much as possible to actually giving you like real sauce in terms of like dropshipping, but the whole topic here is about accountability, because this is even for your own like life. It's not about only work. If you are not hitting the gym, you need to take accountability, go every day. Why? Because it's actually gonna increase your stress tolerance. So whatever obstacle you're gonna face during the day is gonna seem easy. Another thing is energy levels, health, looks, confidence, energy, frequency, whatever you want to call it, all are gonna be peak. Okay, especially if you hit the gym every day. So yeah, just apply this from today. And if you have any questions, let me know. Yeah, that's it for today. So thanks for watching. See you on day 14. Peace out.